Just a couple of housekeeping tips. As soon as you've created this new project, we need to save it. Come up here to the save icon, and you need to title it the Chalet, maybe your initials next to that name, and then save. And now all you have to do is, as you work through your project, just keep hitting the save button so you don't lose any of your work. If you come in and your desktop is changed, story levels have gone, or you come in sometimes for some reason, I don't know why, but the profile changes. This is how you get it back to the standard 19 profile. Come up to options, work environment, and in here you see standard profile 19. Select standard profile 19, apply schemes of profile, apply, and OK. And notice over here my story settings have come back and everything is back as a standard profile. We're going to be creating the mesh, which is the ground or the terrain. We're going to be modeling the terrain and putting in our land that we're going to build our house on. Now I'll just show you one of the photos I have here. So the mesh in this diagram here, you can see the ground, you can see a concrete slab, and the brickwork started on top of that concrete slab. Over here, the ground is called the mesh or the terrain, and that's going to be set at a level. See the top of the concrete slab here? Notice there's about 100 millimeters. So the top of our mesh or our ground is going to be 100 millimeters below the top of the concrete slab, or the bottom of the wall. See how the wall starts on top of the concrete slab? That's going to be our ground zero. That will make sense in a minute. Before we start, we need to make sure that we're working in millimeters and not meters. So let's go into the top menu bar, options, go to project preferences and working units. Once you open that tab, make sure that you've got millimeter checked here and 0 in the box underneath. So we're going to be working in millimeters. Click OK, and now that's set. Let's double click on the mesh icon and we can set up our ground or our mesh here. The thickness of our mesh, we're going to make 2 meters, so that's 2000 millimeters. That's the height of our mesh. The next is the top of our mesh. Now notice in the photo here, I said that the top of the mesh is below the concrete, minus 100. So let's go back in here, our ground floor 0. Now we need the top of the mesh to be minus 100. Below the ground floor, which is the current. So make sure those settings are right. We need to have the solid structure here, and earth should be selected. Now, there's one thing we need to do under floor planner section, and that is if your cover fill box is ticked, untick it, because it will show all grass all over the screen and it looks annoying. So untick that. Then down to model, we've got grass green, and we're going to override and make site earth and underneath site earth. So we'll see our terrain is going to look like this in the 3D view. Once that's done, the most important thing when we set up any tool over here, whether it's walls or slab or roof, mesh, we need to double check what layer it's on. So make sure your layer is on mesh, site, and then OK. Once we've got that done, we can go ahead and draw our mesh in. Okay, double click on mesh tool, and we can go up here, make sure we select the geometry method, rectangular method. Now the size of our block of land is 46 meters by 25 meters. And this is what we're drawing. So it's 25 meters height. So let's draw that in now. We've got all that selected. Just click on the X there. And now you'll see the dimensions come up. Just hit D on the keyboard and we can go up, and here's our dimension 1, which is our horizontal, which is 46. So 4, 6, and 0, 0, 0. Remember, it's in millimeters, so it's in thousands. And dimension 2 is 2, 5, 0, 0, 0. And that's our height. Just enter, and there's our block of land drawn in. Now we can model the terrain on this block of land. Let's move the elevation here out of the way. Make sure you've got drag selected. We'll move that back out of the way. And we'll just fit that to the screen over here. And let's turn off the grid. Now we're going to do some terrain, some lines through our block of land and give it some hills. And now how we do that, let's use the line tool for one. So down here under document, let's minimize these, document, line, and let's do 3 lines on about the back third of this block of land. So let's just draw a line straight through here. So I'm just going to come straight down and let it go right through. Now under more, you'll find a spline tool, which is down here. Okay, we're going to do 2 more lines and using the spline tool. Let's grab spline, start from outside the land, just a curvy line there, maybe a curvy line there and through there. Right click and go OK. And another line. Let's go here. Let's come down further, through there and through there. Now right click and OK. Trim the lines on the outside of the block of land. So you just hit the control key, hold the cursor over, it turns into a scissor, and we can trim these lines back to the block. So that's holding the control key down, and there's our lines. Once we've finished that, we need to get out of the spline command. So go back and hit arrow, and we need to draw a box around the mesh. Just drag a box, and once they're selected, we need to select the mesh icon, then go up to edit, select all meshes. So just click that. Now we need to add these lines that we've just drawn onto the mesh. So let's hit the space bar, just click on the line, a box will come up, fit to user ridges, okay. The next one, space bar, magic wand, click, fit to user ridges, okay. Next, space bar, wand, fit to user ridges, okay. Now these lines are added in as part of our mesh, and what we can do is change the height. The height on the first line, we want to keep it 0. We don't want any height. We want to keep the block of land flat so we can build on here. Then from this line, which will be 0, we're going to make a hill and make some contour in the land. What we need to do is, with the arrow cursor selected, hold down on a black dot until the palette comes up, and we need to select the Z option here, which is the height. It'll give us an option to put a height in. Like I said, on the first line we want to keep it 0, so apply to all, press OK. The next line we want to make, so just hold the cursor on the black dot and select the Z and type in 800, and then make sure you tick apply to all, and then that means all of the black dots along that line will adjust in height up to 800. The next line we're going to leave at 0, and the back 2 corners of the block we're going to make 600. You notice on the back of the block of land, in each corner there's a black dot. We can only adjust the height on those 2 corners. Place the cursor on the black dot, hit the Z value, and we're going to change this to 600. Now this is only adjusting that one point, so we don't need to tick apply to all. Go OK, then come down to the other corner, select Z, type in 600. Do not press apply to all. We're just doing singular points. And OK. Now if we look in the 3D view, we can see, tip our block up, we've made some terrain and some contours and hills at the back part of the block. Notice that we've kept where we're going to build on a level surface. Back into the 2D view and hit save.